This episode is for Friday, February 13th, 2015. Welcome, Meteor fans. I'm your host, Josh Owens, along with my co-host,
Ryan Walker.
back this week.
Yep.
Nice. So this week, let's see, I was actually looking at the podcast reviews today. We have like 18 in there. So a little saddened. Someone said we're boring and gave us a 2-star review.
So were they.
They said they wish there was more substance to this show. So I guess we're done.
Yeah, I've heard that too. Like some people have told me they wish we'd go deeper on some of the topics, but
Yeah, they like to hear our opinions. So we'll
yeah.
try to give those more. So this week we're going to talk about Blaze, something that Slava posted just last night. We're going to talk about Meteor Cluster, Query Chain, Meteor Promise, a lot of packages this week, Cucumber, why you should use it, and a little bonus story. Usually we do 5, but this time we're going to do 6. We're going to talk about the second part of the Building a SaaS with Meteor, which is a Stripe tutorial. So let's get into it. The Blaze stuff that Slava put up is all about indexing. So I'm sure you've done this, right? Like where you want to know like which number in the array you are. Have you ever tried to do that?
Yep.
Yeah. And this is it was a basic handlebars thing, but it was never part of Spacebars. And I don't think they ever imported the version of handlebars that had the index turned on. And the explanation I always got was that it was hard to understand, like hard to rerun the index anytime reactivity changed a bunch of things. So that was why they said they weren't going to do it. But now it looks like they are.
Yeah, just because it's hard doesn't mean it's impossible, right?
True. So the video is short. It's 53 seconds. There's no sound to it. Come on, Slava, you can do sound. He did speed it up a little bit, but you can see it working. Like he runs an each over a loop, and I don't know. I'm kind of excited about this. I hope this drops in the next version of Meteor for sure.
Yeah, it's a nice little thing that you eventually want, and it's nice that it's there now. I think we made like an each with index type helper, or I forget what the hack we would do. But I've definitely hacked this before, but I haven't done it recently enough that I remember how we did it.
Honestly, I don't think we've done it since Blaze.
Okay.
So.
Yeah. That might be true. So,
yeah.
Yep. So that's a nice one. Good. All right. Next topic, we'll jump over to Meteor Cluster Performance Test. Yeah, so I did spend quite a bit of time last night on this one. I think, was this yesterday that he posted this? I think so. Yeah, February 12th. Yeah, it was yesterday. Yep. All right, so Aeronota, he released Cluster maybe a week ago or so. I don't remember when that was either. But
yeah, we talked about it last week a little bit.
Okay, but so here he's basically done some testing to figure out if how a cluster of Meteor servers using Cluster, which means they're all acting as their own load balancer, perform versus a single instance, and with the hope that as you add more servers, the performance versus the control, which is a single server running, doesn't degrade very much. And his test basically shows that there is a little bit of degradation, like maybe 7-10%, something like that. But that as you keep adding servers, that kind of holds true. And now he went from 1 to 3 to 5 to 10. I'm curious to see what happens if you go to 50 or 500. If there's some other problems at even higher levels. But with 10 servers, he's basically showing that you can handle 25,000. This is like concurrent subscriptions, right? Do you agree with that?
Yeah. Actually, I left something in the comments because it was a little confusing. Like, you see one server is able to handle 2,700 connections, right? And then in the subsequent test, he says they're able to handle 2,500 connections. But the thing that wasn't readily obvious when I read the article was that was each server handling 2,500 connections. So you're right. At 10 servers, he's handling 25,000, concurrent users across those.
Yeah. Now I'm trying to think. Like, I don't know. I would never let a single server try to deal with 2,500 concurrent connections in the wild. Would you? Would you let that be the case?
Well, I think, right, like you want to be able to deliver a quality experience to the user, but at the same time, like minimize your hosting costs. That's always a concern for, when I was working at Outright, like our entire team mandate was to cut our server costs by like, $1 per user.
Mm.
And it doesn't sound like a lot, but that crap adds up over time. So.
Yeah. Yes, I'm thinking like this is how many you could handle if you've got the CPU pegged, it's basically pushing the server as hard as it can. So I don't think it really means necessarily that if you were setting this up in production and you expect 25,000 concurrents that you'd want to have just 10 servers.
Yeah, I'd also be curious to see, like, does the CPU level out at some point? Like, if you leave those 25,000 connections total over 10 boxes for like 20 minutes and they're not doing anything, does the CPU drop it back down? Like, is it just the initial connection that's adding load there, or what's adding that load? I'm curious.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. It comes down to like, what are you doing with those connections, right? How much data is getting pushed, and how much of it is duplicated versus like if you serve the same query to all 25,000 users, that's going to be different than if you serve 25,000 different queries to each user.
Yeah,
I'm pretty sure that's true.
Yeah. Well, yeah, because it'll cache into the merge box, right? So,
Yep.
I mean, that's kind of, I don't know, not the greatest real world test, right? Because I mean, you're talking about maybe a blog or something is where you're going to be serving the same content to a bunch of users.
Yeah. So it'd be fun to see someone try, use this in production with real world usage. I think it's still like one of the biggest. I guess questions I have and that users have, or prospective customers and prospective Meteor users have about Meteor is like, will it scale? Will it scale to the highest levels? And
will it blend?
and it's like it's still like I honestly tell people like we don't really have a whole lot of big examples yet. So
yeah.
I know that like Mixmax is really pushing the threshold a lot. I know a little bit about what they're doing, and it's
yeah.
But they're basically forging new paths, and anyone who gets high usage is kind of in that scenario right now. There's not a whole lot of people to turn to. Though I mean, this is great. I love what Aeronote has done here because it's given us a way to. It's a start,
Yeah, and so Stefan Hohaus brought up some interesting points in the comments as well, like, what happens when you throw Nginx into that mix and you let Nginx serve up the static files, like or the CSS and the JavaScript, and offload that from the cluster essentially, and then the other interesting thing is he's talking about doing new algorithms. So because the servers are communicating back and forth with each other, they can know their load, and then it can decide like, hey, this server is pretty loaded with heavy users and it's under some traffic load, so let's route the traffic to maybe this other box. And so it'll be able to like intelligently route your traffic for you to a lesser used box, which is that could be pretty amazing.
Yeah. I do kind of like the idea that Meteor is being its own load balancer on one hand. On the other hand, I also wonder, is that creating an extra responsibility for it that is, it's like too many responsibilities. But it remains to be seen. I love the attempt. I love that it's another angle to deal with scaling.
Yeah, agreed. All right, Query Chain. This is another one of the packages that popped up on my list this week and I thought was interesting. This just popped up this morning, actually, so I haven't even had a chance to use it. But basically, you're able to go in and say like querychain.add. the docs don't make it abundantly clear, but it looks like it just stores basically the query chain that you want. So like they got an example with comments here, and then you give it the Mongo query that it's going to run. So it's going to look for comments that are greater than 0, you know, and then you're able to do like they've got another one that's called from Max, and then the query is just author is Max in quotation marks, and then you can chain them together. So you can say post.find from Max with comments, and it's gonna find all the posts that Max wrote that have more than 0 comments on them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I kind of miss this. This was a thing that Rails 3 added, I'm pretty sure, and I don't know. I always liked it because you're able to build those scopes, they called them in Rails land, and then you were able to chain them together and get the data that you wanted, and I love that, and I miss it. So I'm kind of glad that they've added this. I don't know.
Yeah.
I've tried it.
What was it? Arel? Was it called AREL with Rails?
Yeah. Active relation. Yeah.
Yep. Okay. It's testing my memory there. Yeah. No, I agree. I mean, this is it's anything that can help your code be more readable without a comment, without lots of curly braces and semicolons is good to me. So this is nice readable syntax.
Yeah. What I'd love to see too is, I'd love to see it take parameters too. Like rather than from Max, I'd love to see from author, and I just give it the author's name that I want to query against. I don't know if that's a doable thing. It's not in the notes here, but that could be interesting as well.
Yep. Well, like Lisp project is literally 2 days old. He's got 6 stars now, so check it out.
Oh, I gave him 1. He's got 7.
Right. 7 stars. All right. All right. I think I'm up next. Meteor Promise. Okay. Yep. Our buddy Chicago Grooves, Dean, has built this is a package. Yes, it's a package that with the idea that right now, and I've done this. I have some code where I have Meteor calls that are nested because I need the callback from the previous call in the next call. So what you end up doing is building this beautiful tree of nested Meteor calls, and that's kind of ugly, and people will make fun of you if they see your code. So
that happened a lot?
On that time it did, yeah. Like, what the hell are you doing? No, but the Promise Meteor Promise library basically lets us do something to the effect of like Meteor Promise, like method 1, and then you can have a .then, and then call another method, and then have a .done and a .fail. So if you understand JavaScript promises, it's following that pattern, and maybe just a better way of nesting your Meteor calls.
Nice. So does this return the promise to the client then too?
Is this on the client? I mean, I don't see anything here that says it's a server.
Let's look at the package.js.
I think this. I mean, he's talking about server methods. Yeah, good question.
I thought I saw in here that it returns the jQuery promise to the client. Of course, I read this yesterday and didn't look at it again today.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think the biggest thing, for me, that's a pain. Also, is like when you do make a Meteor method call from the client, like the Meteor.call, it just returns nothing, right? Like you get nothing in response, and if you want, you have to like pass in a callback, and it'll call that callback once the method finishes and fires. So it would be kind of nice if the client side got the promise, and then you were able to do something on the promise. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. Actually, did you actually look at the code for this too? I mean, it's like whatever, like 12 lines of code. So it's pretty cool how much he packed into a very small number of lines of code.
Or how little you actually have to do.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, so yeah. So that, I mean, I haven't tried this yet, but It's really just implementing kind of the promise idea. So.
Yeah. Yeah, this is pretty cool. As always, the Chicago guys are on it. There's 2 stories from them this week, so they're quite the prolific user group up there. All right. So next up is Cucumber JS and Meteor, the why and how of it. I wrote this article myself. Just kind of, I don't know, like Monday, I sat down, I got this new standing desk, and I was sitting here like, what should I do now? And I needed to write a little bit of documentation on like how you test with Cucumber for a client, and then I just decided like, hey, I'm gonna keep going and make it a whole blog post. And like I looked up and it was lunchtime, and I had like almost this whole thing written, so decided to go with it. But if you saw my talk on the same subject, it kind of covers some of the same things, but this time I decided to go into Telescope and add tests into Telescope and try to get that working, the Cucumber tests. And the key takeaway from this post is the reason you test Cucumber is because you want to make sure that the user sees the things on the screen that they need to see. You want to make sure that they have the user experience that they want,
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, I don't know, like going into Telescope, if you don't put anything into either of the login fields and just hit login or sign in, nothing happens, and that seems like a really bad user experience. There's no error, there's no nothing pops up, there's no spinner, there's nothing happens. If you put in something in the username and something in the password and then hit sign in, then it'll pop an error. So that to me that was a legitimate bug that I found in user accounts, just by writing these tests. And I think that stuff's important. I think I see Cucumber as the gateway drug into testing, right? Like it's kind of like it's at a high level. You can say load this page, do these things, and then make sure I have this result on the page. So.
Yep, and I agree. I mean, as you know, Josh, we've had several conversations about Cucumber over the past week. It is. I agree. It's really easy conceptually to figure out how to use Cucumber. The challenge is if you run into a weird bug, you pretty much like get on the phone with or get on your computer with chat with Sam and Josh to resolve it, because there's no resources for how to troubleshoot,
True, very true.
So that's the one downside. But on the positive side, both Josh and Sam are super responsive about this stuff because they want it to work. So, I had some issues and got them resolved. Some fun stuff related to can't blame Polymer. It's something we're doing to make Polymer work to Meteor that was kind of crazy, but I think we got it resolved. So as soon as we did that, like literally the next day, by the way, like we were using a session variable, he's changed that to a reactive var. Greg did. So someone mentioned that would be better. So I bet you my tests don't work again, and I got to figure out how to deal with that instead.
Nice.
So yes.
This is you need CI, right? Like he would have broken the test, and you would have said, "Sorry, we can't merge your change till you fix the test, Greg."
True. Yes. Yeah, I haven't merged that branch in yet, so I need to do that.
Get CI set up, man.
Well, yeah, because the thing is, like, all I had was a simple. I mean, I couldn't even get a. Well, I guess it was. I was testing that there was copy on the home page, so technically it was a test. So yeah, I'll merge that in. We'll get that going, but definitely, I'm trying to join the world of Cucumber users, and the more of us that join, the easier it will be to have a good knowledge base of how to get shit to work.
Nice. Yeah. All right.
Was that you? Okay, that was you. Okay.
Yep.
All right. So finally, we have the Meteor chef. It's Ryan Glover in the real world, with a second post on building a SaaS with Meteor. This is another mega long post. I really envy people that can crank out blog posts this long. I just like scroll through them like, wow, that's a lot of work. So literally all the code you need to build a full app is in the previous post. But yeah, I mean, he's basically taking you through integrating Stripe into a Meteor app, which is pretty important if you want to do SaaS. You probably want to collect money, so you're not alone. He's got some good sample code here to help you do that. I don't know if have you spent any more time with this stuff, Josh?
I haven't actually. I'm just kind of looking over it. I love he's got this yellow box in the middle, and it says like a quick note. He's talking about like a lot of it has to do with upgrading and downgrading, and like if they're already a customer, that kind of thing. And he's got a note in here that says like potentially your UX might be wrong. Like you should tell a customer why they can't downgrade if they're not allowed to right now. Mm-hmm. And but he doesn't go into how to fix it. He just notes that you need to. I love that.
Yeah. I mean, otherwise the post would be 5 times longer probably.
Yeah. Seems plausible.
Uh-oh. Gerard's pointing Nerf guns at me here while we're on the air. That's not good.
Nice.
I think he pulled back because of my Coke can in front of the computer. That would have been pretty funny to let computers fizzle out on the air.
Nice. So besides Cucumber, were you guys up to anything interesting this week?
I mean, it's not very interesting to Meteor. I basically took the role of salesperson for a week with UserCycle because we're trying to do customer acquisition, and sometimes us old folk have to show the youngsters how to do it. That's extra stress. But no, I mean, as far as Meteor goes, we've just been cranking along. Yeah, Cucumber is definitely one of the things. And the big problems. All the other stuff was minor, easy stuff for me.
Yeah.
We're getting into D3 a lot more, so that's pretty fun. But again, not related to Meteor. So.
Nice.
Yeah. But I have to mention real quick, like my boy Rishi. So this would be like story number 3 from the Chicago user group. He's done a little blog post about basically he's going to try to summarize what MDG is doing each week. So I promised him I'd mention him on the air today. So that's
nice. Yeah. He didn't make the cut because I'm trying to build these lists in the morning. So anything that comes in like Friday after like 10 or 11 a.m. doesn't make the cut. So yeah,
I just didn't want to get through without saying his name, or else he would have been lying to him. So
we'll discuss it in depth next week, though. Like it's definitely going to be probably the first story because I found it interesting. Like it seemed like it probably took him a lot of digging to get all those little updates. So
yep.
I appreciate it.
Yeah. All right. Anything else? Are you good?
I think that's about it. So this week,
anything cool? I didn't ask you. Reciprocate. Anything besides Cucumber that you did this week?
No, it's mostly Cucumber. That's what I'm doing for the client I'm working with as well. So it's like blog post and client work is all around Cucumber right now. But my grandfather passed away on Wednesday night, so it's been kind of a hectic week these last couple of days. So I haven't had a lot of free time. I did do last night, late last night. I did my Cordova talk again. And that was kind of interesting. I was able to get it done in 51 minutes or something like that. So that was interesting. I feel like I need to go back and refactor that whole thing now. But we built an entire Cordova app in 50 minutes. So
yeah.
Kind of fun.
That's pretty awesome. Yep.
Yep. All right. So real quick, the patrons this week. I'm actually logged in ahead of time, so that's good. Dennis H, Mitchell W, and I think that's it. So we added 2 more people. Chat room's getting quite busy in there. And if you're interested, just go to patreon.com/Meteor Club, and you can sign up there, help support the podcast and Crater. And if you do the $10 reward, then you get into the chat room and stuff, and it's a lot of cool stuff going on in there. And then the 2 sponsors, Modulus and Compose, you'll hear the ads on the front of the podcast, but. Check those guys out and support them. They do an awesome job of helping us support the show here. So actually have a podcast editor this week, so maybe it'll sound good. We'll see.
Get some better reviews on iTunes. By the way, go do your review, please. If you're going to give us a 4 or 5, please go review us.
No 2 stars. Yeah, I don't. The podcast editor won't help with the content, just the quality of the sound.
Hey, everything counts. Everything matters.
Yeah.
All right.
All right, guys. Tune in next week. We'll be here same time.
See ya.